so young, man.
Yeah, I'm young. I'm 33.
Yeah,
So
that's
I had 90 units at one point, but I just sold off my mobile home park. So I own about 50 units right now.
wow.
And no partners. It's just me. So
Really?
yeah, I
Dude, you're
mean,
killing it.
I'm crazier. I still work and I have a real estate portfolio. So,
Well, that's even more amazing.
yeah. But no, like when you said you retire, when did you leave IT to go
It's
to
just
farm
like
real estate?
3 years ago, 2019.
Oh, so right before COVID.
Yeah, yeah. So I left before COVID, started my IT company. That kind of went well, and that started going well, and then they shut down everything. Then I pivoted. Luckily, I had a realtor friend, and I pivoted, and then sold my home. My wife was able to work from home, so we moved to Arkansas, where my parents were at.
Oh,
Um, yeah, so we're in Northwest Arkansas, Walmart corporate headquarters, and then yeah, and then we just started investing in real estate. I don't have anything, any portfolio like you by any means. I'm totally interested to learn how you got there, uh, being so young and still working full time too. So, but yeah, so right now I'm just learning how to flip and getting into deals, creative deals, and hopefully get into the multifamily commercial space as well to get more doors. And yeah. So my wife still works a full-time job, so
okay.
she supplements a lot of our income, and that allows me to really be in it full time. And I need to utilize my time, or I don't know, call it utilize my time better, but scale my portfolio to something more sizable. So
Yeah, yeah, dude. When you left your job, like,
yeah.
I guess how much were you making through real estate at that time? Was it the same
Oh,
amount, a little bit less,
oh, I was
more?
making nothing. I was
Oh,
making
okay, it was nothing.
yeah. So I went from my job, over 100K, which is nothing in the Bay Area. But in Midwest of Minnesota, that's a good amount, you know.
That's a good amount. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a decent amount to live comfortably in the Midwest, and been doing that for 15 years. And we just said, hey, this is not something we plan to do the rest of our life. We need something that will be generational wealth, and not only that, uh, that will give us time, that will allow us to have freedom of time down the road, with not having to be tied to an 8 to 5 every day. And so, yeah, we just decided, let's just do it. And we quit. Uh, I just resigned and started my IT company. And then it just took me into the path of real estate. And it's just what I do now. So
So, are you generating money from the IT company, or
I did, but not anymore.
okay?
I kind of pretty much offloaded most of my clients already, and so now it's just strictly real estate, flipping, and um, kind of buy and hold and sell some of it. But that's kind of what we do now full time.
Do you what's your typical profit margin on a flip in Arkansas?
So far it's been around 80 to 100K.
Okay, yeah, that's like
Uh,
your income, right? That was your prior income.
yeah. So I figure if I just do 2 to 3 a year, um, it's definitely better than working 8 to 5. So we figure, you know what, we can float that and we'll be okay. And I get to learn an industry that I like, and will continue to grow in that, and hopefully acquire more, build a bigger portfolio, and then hopefully be able to make decent money in the long run and build passive income. So.
Yeah. How many units do you currently own? Are they all in Arkansas?
Right now, we don't own, well, we own a couple properties, but they're not really units at all.
Okay.
We own one that we live in. We're flipping, we just closed on one today that we flipped. And then we've got another one that we're closing. Well, we're finishing up soon here. Hopefully, it'll be listed on the market by the end of the month. Not this month, but hopefully by then November. We've got a new single family build coming up, and then yeah, and hoping to just get a couple more flips. This year we've sold a home earlier in the year, so. And then my quadplex, I had a quadplex up in Minnesota that I did a lease to own to another buyer. So got a good amount of money off of that one too. So yeah, so we just kind of been chugging along with what little we made from the real estate we have.
Yeah, so it seems like your kind of average profit margin is like maybe 20-30K per flip. Is that what I'm kind of hearing?
You mean average profit margin?
Yeah, per property that you flip.
No, I average about 80 to 100K. Yeah.
Per flip?
Yeah.
Do you flip in Arkansas or do you flip somewhere else?
Just in Arkansas.
Oh wow, I didn't realize there was that much of a margin. Like, what's the average price on the home there?
I think in the town that we live in, it's roughly about 450, but in the surrounding area, it's between 200 to 300.
Oh wow, okay. I don't know why I was assuming everything was like 100K or less.
I only wish. Well, in south of here, south of where we live, an hour south, you still could get under 100K, like Little Rock and Fort Smith, by the border of Arkansas, Oklahoma. You can still get that, but I don't want to be all the way down there and managing flips from afar. So I'd like to just do it in here and kind of just found a little niche area here and kind of just make it work.
Yeah, that's smart. But you know, I renovated 50 units from California, and all my properties are in Oklahoma, Alabama, right? While working full time, so I definitely was a little more hands off, and I had to rely on property management and general contractor to do that, right?
Dude, that's crazy, man. I give you a lot of credit for being able to do that from a distance.
Yeah, it's just creating systems. I mean, it's like when you renovate 50 units, it's all the same copy and paste, right?
Yeah.
You're not reinventing the wheel. It's just like same floor, same paint, same kitchen setup. And then it's copy and paste, easy for the contractor, easy for the property manager, is you can rent out multiple units and pre-lease the units. And it's cheaper because you buy in bulk, right? You're buying materials and stuff in bulk, and you renovate 5 units at a time, and it's easy for the subcontractors, right? You just do the flooring guy, they do all flooring, they do all the kitchen. So, you know, I had that limiting belief at first, but you know, for me, obviously I'm in California, where in the Bay Area, single family homes are 1.5 million. And even in LA now, it's at least $1 million, but I bought my apartment complex in Oklahoma, my 26 unit, for $500,000 off market using direct mail. And I bought it for $500,000. It appraised at 750 day one.
Yeah.
So that's 250K equity. And then I doubled the rents, were only at 350, which was, so at 350 rents, my valuation was 750. So I doubled the rents after renovations. So it's 700 average rent. And so I doubled the value to 1.5 million.
Right.
And I put in about $300,000 in the deal. So I'm all in for 800,000, and it's probably worth 1.5, 1.6, 1.7.
Which city in Oklahoma?
Oklahoma City.
Oh, okay. Did you buy that during COVID or pre-COVID or just recently?
During COVID, hard COVID.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I bought 80 units in 8 months during COVID. So
wow.
Yeah, I took my high equity single family homes in California. So I own like 3 or 4 single family homes in California. And all of them appraised by $500,000 each in about 3 to 4 years. Yeah. And then when interest rates drop, I just did a huge cash out refinance and pulled out like 1.2 million, and I just bought like 80 units in the Southeast.
Wow. Okay.
So that's how I scaled so rapidly, right? But it was thanks to my high equity single family homes in California. Like, people bash on California, but like, dude, like, where else will you get $500,000 in equity just doing nothing?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that's like crazy.
Yeah. So you know, it's crazy now, interest rates being 8%. It's unaffordable. But yeah, it's that's why I like Oklahoma or like the Southeast. It's like, you know, you get $500-700 rent. You times that by like 26 units, and You get about $18,000 a month in gross rents.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took me about 2 years to finish renovating my 26 unit. I got a 20 unit as well. And then my mobile home park, I ended up selling that one for a loss. Because
Oh yeah.
mobile home park. Yeah, mobile home park was way too big. It was over my head. It was way too big of a project for me. And the person that sold it to me kind of oversold it a little bit.
Oh really?
I just said it's not worth it. I'd rather do apartments. Like mobile home park was way too much more work compared to apartments.
Sure.
Apartments easy. You just renovate the unit and then it just rents it out. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? As long as the
property
tenant,
manager.
yeah, but mobile home, it's just like if you renovate the mobile home, it's not as durable compared to like a apartment or a house.
Absolutely not.
So like if the tenant like trashes it after they leave, then it's not like you have to fix it again. Whereas apartment, it's a little more durable.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I kind of got burned a little bit. And, it was shiny object syndrome. I just heard, mobile home parks are cash cows, but man, you need a lot of capital. You need a huge team and you can make money, but it's a lot of work. Like, yeah, I had to be full-time if I want to make that mobile home park work, and then probably needed triple the capital that I brought to the deal. Versus apartments, it's just like, oh, these are so easy. Like I spent most of my time on my mobile home park, not much time on my apartments, but my apartment did amazing. And that's when I knew this one takes less time and effort and maybe more money. I got to do more of this.
Nice.
And then the mobile home park was taking more time, effort, and lost money. Like, doesn't make sense. So I just unloaded that. And then, so now I'm like doing well, but when I had the mobile home park, I was bleeding 10K a month just on that park. And then once I got rid of it for a loss, which is okay, but now I'm not losing 10K a month, right? Just not losing 10K is huge. But yeah, so apartments are nice. I really, really like it. It's a little bit more headache, obviously, managing it. And my 20 unit, it's in Enid, Oklahoma. But
where is it?
Enid, Oklahoma. It's kind of more up north.
Enid?
Yeah.
Okay.
That one is a little bit rougher. Like I'm having issues with bed bugs in that one. Because the tenants, we moved out of tenants, but some of them were letting homeless people stay the night.
Oh,
yeah. Wow. And then basically, that's what leads to bed bugs. And once you have bed bugs, it just moves, right? You fumigate one unit and they move to another unit. And so that one, that one's a little bit more my problem child right now. But I mean, I'm getting like 9,000 gross from that one. So I mean, still doing pretty well. I bought
That's nice.
Yeah, I bought for $350. I bought for $350, put in about $100 in to renovate it. So on for $450, I'm getting about 9,000. But my interest rate's like 7%, so my loan's kind of high.
Oh, okay.
But once interest rates drop in a couple of years, like you just refinance it, lower it to like a 4 to 5.
Yeah, I mean, as long as the debt it covers the debt service, the majority of it, I'm assuming it covers most of it, and you probably still net. Do you net 9,000, or is that your gross?
No, that's gross. That one I probably net maybe 1,000. But if I have like a bed bug, I need to fumigate. I cost like $700. So so I kind of call it like a break even for the most part. Like it's self-sufficient, right?
Yeah.
And I have 2 units vacant, and like I said, if I rent out the last 2 units, and then if I lower my rate in like 2 years, then like it's gonna cash flow, right? And then
absolutely.
But that market, rents are around 500. It's not as good as like Oklahoma City.
Yeah, because it's a little bit farther north.
Yeah, it's a little further north, but it's near I think like the Stride Bank Center, something like that. So I think it's gonna gentrify, but it's a little bit rough. I think that 20 unit that I bought, it had a reputation of having a lot of homeless people loitering around, but I had to like move out a lot of the tenants, and then you have to install like security cameras and like all this stuff. So it's a project, but I'd say give another 2 more years and it'll definitely be cash. It's a long-term game, right, for that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
But my 26 unit is like a complete home run. I mean,
nice.
I'm getting 18,000 gross from that one.
Wow.
And my loan's only like $1,900 a month on that property.
That's crazy.
So yeah, you do the math, about half go to expense, 9,000, and then you minus, let's say, 2,000 for The loan, I'm netting about 7-8K on that property.
That's a heck of a deal, dude.
Yeah, and then plus it made me about $750,000 of equity on top of that.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So just
definitely.
like one deal is all it takes to like really like that's, you know, if you own that asset, I mean, that covers all your expenses and where you're living, right? For me, I mean, it's expensive here, but just one deal is all it takes, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's kind of carrying the team, but it's kind of covering my other properties and my single family homes in California are all cash flow negative because I pull out so much money out of it.
yeah,
So it's kind of like a little bit self-sufficient. That's why I started to kind of work a little bit.
yeah,
Just because like I want my real estate to be self-sufficient and I
yeah.
don't mind working. It's like, you know, I did have a point where I hated my job. I got laid off during COVID. But you know, like I don't mind working. I don't try as hard as I used to. I just kind of, you know, put in my time there. And you know, collect the paycheck because when, as you know, when you're on your own, it's nothing's guaranteed.
Oh,
So it
yeah,
actually made me appreciate my W-2 a little bit the more I got into real estate because I'm
yeah,
like, I'm bleeding money every month on this mobile home park and I'm working my butt off. At my job, I can barely do anything or the bare minimum, and I get paid every 2 weeks
yeah,
automatically.
yeah,
So there's some sort of like peace of mind with that. So
yeah.
that's what. But yeah, at this point, you know, I can be financially free, like what you
Hmm.
did,
Yeah,
and then replace a good chunk of my income
sure, sure.
with that. So yeah,
Well,
that's
nice, man. I mean, you
so it's
just jumped
doable.
in and you just jumped. You're brave. You just jumped in and just picked up some big properties and just kind of. I mean, and it comes down to just averages, right? You got a couple properties and one does well, the others are so, but it averages out to, yeah. So it just averages out and it just kind of works, you know. So
Yeah,
it's
like
okay. That's how real estate is. You'll get
yeah,
some
like
really home runs.
exactly. Like my 26 unit was like a home run, I'd say. My 20 unit was like a base hit, you know.
Yeah.
But if interest rates were decent, it would have been better than a base hit,
Oh
right?
yeah,
And the
absolutely.
mobile home park I struck out on, but yeah, if you collectively, you know, accumulate the three, I'm net
Mhm.
positive overall.
Yeah.
So it's a game, and the point about risk is like because like you said, I'm a bit younger. I don't have obligations yet. So in my
Yeah.
mind, I'm just like, you know what? If I completely mess up, my worst case scenario is I just work like longer at my W-2, right? But
Absolutely. That's
if
it.
you do nothing, you're guaranteed to work at your W-2.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought, you know, with that. So, you know, I tried the mobile park, realized it's not my cup of tea. And then I just said, oh, and I have clarity now. I like it to do apartments in Oklahoma. So like
Yeah.
now, you know, I used up all my capital. So I'm waiting, hopefully when interest rates drop, you know,
Yeah.
maybe the
To
next,
build up again. Yeah.
yeah, I need to
Uh-huh.
start building up my money and
Hmm.
maybe try covering the expenses. But yeah, so what's kind of your goal? I mean, you mentioned scaling, but what type of time frame?
Well, I hope to be doing about 5 to 10 flips and new builds a year. And then I'll hold the really good properties. And where it'll, even if it doesn't cash flow well, uh, yeah. So I mean, as long as it, even if it just cash flows a little bit or it just floats itself, where I'm at, where it's a good location, because location is key really for for generational wealth. Is that you want to buy in a location that you know it's going to grow. You know that value is going to grow. There's good jobs. There's like what's the right word? Good foundational principles for the general area. And then hopefully, like I said, I'm just doing flips and new builds to sell just so that I can make the money to either buy or cash out or do at least maybe just hold like a low loan to value because rates are so high right now that it's hard to do anything right. And so that's kind of the general goal right now is to do that in about hopefully 10 years. hopefully have 10, 15 properties that are fully paid for and cash flowing about $2,000-3,000 per property. And then that's about 20-30K a month. And after expenses, maybe you get about 20. And I think I'm happy with that if I can get that. Of course, the goal is to get more, but minimally, I hope I can do that. Eventually, maybe build some multifamilies that can be in Class A, Class B neighborhoods, and you get Class A, Class B tenants, where it's just that these are they're white collar workers, and it's a good area, and they're going to make good payments. There'll still be some issues, but value's going to grow, and hopefully you just get passive income from that. There's no such thing as truly passive where you're totally hands off. I know that a lot of people go into it thinking it's that way, but it's not. But yeah, I think that's just kind of the goal. And right now I'm just learning the ebbs and flows of real estate and the various different strategies that you use, and learning what fits my lifestyle, what strategy fits my lifestyle, which strategy fits my skills, and get really good at that so that I can scale that and deploy that at a much faster rate, where I can deploy and turn over my money at a much faster rate than right now. Last year we only did one renovation. This year we did 3, and I'm gonna do a new build right now already. So so then it's just learning all these things and figuring out what works and what doesn't work for me.
So by new build, are you building it from the ground up yourself?
Yeah.
And you're selling it?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So I just got up the loan for my first new build. And it's kind of funny because this is a creative deal where I used to manage a tree house next to that property in the city on Airbnb. And then I got to know these people, and I asked them, hey, I'd like to buy your home. And they weren't ready, but I kept up with the relationship and followed up every now and then. And then finally, 6 months later, they say, hey, we're ready to sell, but we would like you to build us a new home. And believe me, at this point, I haven't even built a home yet. I just did renovations. So, but I know the process, right? You kind of have an idea, and because they saw me doing the tree house and how the tree house was built with my partner built it up and how they saw it. So it was just instant credibility with them. So they said, hey, if you can build us a home that meets our ADA needs, then we'll give you this home. And whatever credit there, whatever equity we have in there, you just give us the credit on that. If you can use that credit to build us a new home, then great. As long as it's just a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, it doesn't have to be a massive home. They just needed to better suit the daughter, who's the ADA. So then finally, after 3-4 months of searching for lots, and we finally came upon a lot, and they agreed, and we signed, and we just did paperwork, and they basically I just did subject to on their home. They just signed over their deed and the title over to me, and then they just continue to make payments because they're still living there. So now we just got the loan approved earlier this week. They just funded that, and so we're just going to start ground. We're going to break ground this week, and we'll start building their home for them. Hopefully in 6 months to 8 months. Hopefully not a year. Maybe we'll hope to get down to 6 to 8 months, and they'll move in, and then we'll go in, renovate the home, and because it's in a good location, if I can float it, I'll probably float it and keep it. Otherwise, I can sell it I can just renovate it and sell it and take the equity, because I could probably make about 200K on that flip. And so so it's just finding like a good strategy that fits your skill set and who you are as an individual, and just trying to scale that and duplicate that. And
Yeah, it seems like you have the the right mindset already. I mean, what do the loan terms look like on new construction for you?
my construction loan is so we're taking about 307,000 construction loan to buy the land and also to develop. So all they ask is that they're holding $30,000 of my money. So basically the bank holds 30 because I bank with them too, and so they hold $30,000 of my funds. They released 307,000 for me. Of course, not all at once, but they'll release it as we do work and we turn in receipts. Yeah, and then our interest rate is no higher than 9%, 9 point something percent, no lower than 5 something, depending on the fluctuation. It's a variable rate between that for the time frame duration of the construction. And then when we're done with it, then we would just refinance it into a 30-year rate and a commercial 30-year, or we could, depending on, because the way that we built it is the way that we agreed on is that with that property, if we're going to build it under 300, about 307,000, but whatever it appraises at, because my client, their credit is only 300,000. So I would build it, and anything over 300,000, I would just I would just finance that, seller finance that to them. So we would just take it at, maybe what my wife and I, what we'll do is we'll just take a loan under her name, a 30-year loan, and then that difference, they'll just pay us interest on that difference, on the difference of that, and then that'll kind of cover the loan itself on a 30-year. Because whatever we have, we're probably not going to do a 30-year, because my guess is going to appraise about $375,000 to $400,000 when it's said and done, because it's on a 3/4 acre and it's like a 2,000 square foot home. So yeah, so then I'll get the portion. I'll seller finance the portion of that equity to them, and then they'll pay me that, and that most likely pay down most of the that $300,000 loan that we'll take. And then I'll take their home, I'll renovate it, and I'll sell it. If I do decide to sell it, I'll sell it and take the $200K profit equity from that home. And yeah, so then that's kind of it's a very creative, strange deal, but it's what was thrown, it's what came to me. So I just kind of took that and just kind of ran with it.
How'd you learn creative financing? What got you into it?
Well, creative financing is just really whatever you make of it, right? It's really just whatever both of you agree on the contract, and you just think through. I did some studying, some YouTube watching, and with Pace Morby and them, and a lot of some of the other creative people, and I was just like, okay, how do they do this? And this kind of just fell in my lap, and I just did it on the fly, really.
Okay, did you have like attorneys like help you, or you just crafted something yourself, or?
Yeah. Initially, we didn't have an attorney, but halfway through it, I met James, and James gave me some ideas, and then he also introduced. He also had a connection to an attorney here in Arkansas. They helped me write the contract out and everything. Yeah, and then also the family that I'm working with, my client and them, they're pretty easy to work with too, because if they were hard to work with, I probably wouldn't take on the deal. I would probably, yeah, but I had a good feeling about them too, and I don't know how it's going to go, right? It's just all risk anyway. So yeah, and so we had an attorney write the contract and everything, and hopefully that's as airtight as it can be from legality standpoint. So I don't know. James, we looked at it, and James says, yeah, this is pretty good. You should be okay, as long as you're able to build them this home some point in time in the next 12 months, maybe even 24 months, you should be okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I just know career finance, it's all relationship based, right? I listened to the Pace Morby guy as well, and I always wonder, like, how do you buy a house with zero down, but yeah, usually they're seller financing you the equity difference between the loan and whatever you're buying it for.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is trust, right? You're not just gonna get some
Yeah.
random stranger. Like for me, I didn't. Well, I sold my mobile park credit financing. Actually, I had the seller carry
Oh,
second.
oh, really?
So I
Okay.
bought it seller financed actually, but
Oh,
then
yeah.
the next owner, they took over the seller finance note that I had, and I had the seller carry second.
Oh, jeez.
So they came in with very low money down because it's a fixer upper park. So I
Yeah.
am carrying like a decent amount of money. So my capital is like kind of stuck there until
Yeah.
3 years and I get it
Okay.
back. But
Yep.
yeah, I'm curious because like I never was really into like the development route. I've always
Mhm.
just been I buy an existing property and I renovate it because it was just a lot easier for me to comprehend
Mhm.
as a beginner. Obviously you're more experienced, so it's smart that you're leveraging what you're good at and what you know. And like you said, if you continue doing what you said, you probably would hit your goal of like 10 units paid off, in 10 years. It's
I
totally
hope so.
doable. It's totally doable if you continue flipping and then you buy rentals and they cash flow, then you take that cash flow and pay down on their property. It just kind of like
Snowball
a
effect. Yeah.
snowball effect. So I think what you said is very reasonable. If you told me that in a year, I would say you're a little crazy. But if it's a 10-year time window, and given that you have experience already, it's definitely reasonable. So, and once you have that
Yeah.
foundation and you start getting the multis, like that's when it's like if you can start developing multifamily, like it's a whole different ball game at that point. So it's nice that you have that skill set already. Not many people do. I'm afraid of like new builds, to be honest. Like to me,
Yeah. Okay.
it just seems like over my head, and I know you're leveraging people to use it, but it just the thought of it, yeah, it's like, how does the loans work and all that? But it just could be a limiting belief for myself.
Yeah, I think so. It's just new for you. You haven't experienced it yet, and then, and also California is probably not the easiest barrier of entry for for new builds. So, and like I was in Minnesota, and even that was easy. But when I came to Arkansas, this is easy.
Yeah,
Um,
very easy, right? It's like very
yeah,
easy.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so this is where I will learn my trade, and then from here I can go to any market and be able to do something versus you being in California, chances of you being able to build anything is probably, I don't think it's impossible, but it'll take a lot of networking and meeting the right people and getting them to help guide you. Otherwise, you'll probably maybe lose money on a couple builds before you figure out, okay, this is the right way to build. So,
Yeah, yours is a
um,
little bit lower risk, right? Because you're in a cheaper market. So if you mess up, your loss isn't as bad versus like, yeah, if you mess up in California, you're taking a bigger hit, right? So
yeah,
so
yeah,
definitely, smart. And there's nothing wrong with like staying in one market. Like I actually kind of got burned when I jumped markets a lot. But
yeah,
it's fine to be like, hey, you can just make enough wealth from real estate in your market where you're at, where you're
yeah,
comfortable with, where the area, the team, you have a team, what the ARVs are going to be. So there's nothing
yeah,
wrong with just being, you're aiming for like crazy $100 million net worths and something crazy like that. What you're doing is very reasonable and doable if you just honestly stick to one thing.
yeah,
Um, that's at least to get your initial whatever 20-30K a month. But at that point, if you want to build upon that, then you can kind of venture out. I kind of got burnt trying to get to like 20K a month passive very fast. That's what I was trying to do.
yeah.
um,
So early on in the first year, and this is like I started real estate in 2020.
okay.
So my first, other than my home, my first real estate purchase was that fourplex, and that was October 2020. And then even then, I had no experience in real estate, and so but I was very motivated, and like you said, When I talk to a lot of people, like, yeah, next year I want to do 10 deals. I want to do, 10 flips, or I want to get 10 properties. And little did I know that it was much more challenging than I thought it would be from a capital standpoint, experience standpoint, and also risk standpoint. And I'm glad that I didn't rush into just acquiring just for the sake of acquiring, because left and right in the social media days, everything left and right is like, yeah, I acquired 600 units in like 3 years. Yeah, we acquired 100 units in 2 years, and they're barely 24-year-olds. And I'm thinking to myself, these guys are either they came from money, super smart, or super dumb, or they're just that good. And if they're that good, fine. There's nothing I can do to catch up to these guys. Or if they came from money, well, there's nothing I can do. But if they are just blowing smoke, then they're in for a big surprise. And as I started to do real estate, I realized that you can't fast track real estate, especially for the good deals and for the deals that will last longer, that will help you build a good foundation and generational wealth. I used to always want to do every deal that that comes across my desk, and I always feel like I'm missing out. But now I'm like, I don't have to do that deal. Why do I need to do that deal? If it's not a good deal, why am I going to do it? Because once I get into it, it's hard. It's hard to get out.
It is. No, what you said is very wise. I mean, you only do it for, I mean, I started 2017, right? So I'm doing it for like 6 years, but you know, what you said is very smart. Like, it's better to go slow. It's better to have like 50 good units versus 90 bad units. And I know, because I experienced, I had 90 bad units. It sounds cool to say I have 90 units, but it was 90 bad units. Now that I sold my mobile home park, I have 50 good units, and you're coming from a different power position. And you know what I will say though is, like, a lot of those people who are like, you know, that's nice, right? We have technology. You know, when I was more younger, we didn't have YouTube and podcasts, and when you're 24, unless you had a rich uncle or parents, you know nothing about like syndicating apartment complexes, right? Like, you didn't even come across your periphery at that time. But yeah, there are a lot of people, you know, they raise a lot of money. You know, I will say that, like, from 2017 to like 2022, even if you operate poorly, the appreciation was so crazy that you couldn't miss. And they're not necessarily good operators. They just, you know, just natural ride. But, you know, given what's going to happen now, because interest rates are harder and things are getting more expensive, people might get wiped out. And what I will say too is, like, they say they own 600 units, but, you know, remember, like, they own a small fraction of the 600 units.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, if you own 10% of 600 units, that's only 60 units, which is, you know, kind of like where I'm at right now. But I don't have to deal with investors. I don't have to deal with, like,
I know,
you know, losing other people's money as well. So, like I said, they flex, or sometimes they just might like be money raisers. Like, hey, me and you, we're gonna raise money together, and we're just gonna put money in this other deal with this bigger syndicator, and just say that, yeah, I own 1,000 units, but I just own a small fraction of it. So people tend to flex it, and I fell into that trap too, where, like, every deal you want a good deal, right? Like, oh, this deal is amazing, I need to do it, and that's what I did with my mobile park, and that's when I lost money for the first time. Versus my apartment complex is off market. There's no competition, right? It's just me and the seller, and the flow is very nice. Like, you know, I'm very, like, direct and transparent and communicative. I talk fast, and they were the same way. And you know, we were two strangers, but we just act professionally, and then it worked, right? But there's some buyers where, you know, I'll sell them a mobile park, like, they're so unprofessional. They don't communicate. They back out the last minute. You know, just like this weird stuff. And I'm like, you can't do deals with these type of people. Like, they're not serious at all. And you know, you can't do a good deal with a bad person. So
no, you can't.
walk away. Even if the deal seems great, like, they're hiding something from you. And like you said, there's no rush. There's always good deals out there. Whatever. If you wait 3 to 6 more months, whatever. If you find a good deal that you have for the rest of your life, it's not going to matter. Those 3 to 6 months is not going to matter. So, you know, now, you know, I say that, that's why I said you're wise. as long as you're patient and like don't feel rushed, then it's fine to go at your own pace too. Like, yeah, it was if you bought 10 units and you messed up on all 10 and you made a $20,000 mistake on each unit, times it by 10. It's now a
Yeah,
$2,000 mistake, right? Versus if you make a
that's a lot.
$10,000 mistake on one, it's only 10,000.
Yeah.
So, it's there's nothing wrong with going at your own pace, because like you said, at the
Hmm.
end of the day, I mean, I was really big on generational wealth too. I mean, that's what a lot of the gurus
Yeah.
say and preach, for the course and whatnot. But full disclosure, I do have a course and a mentorship and all that stuff. But like they sell you that dream and that hope a little bit. But like honestly, when you die, if you're lucky, one of your kids may like real estate. But if none of your kids like real estate, like they'll
Yeah.
hate it and they'll end up selling it, right? So it's
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
you don't need to like go that crazy. You just need enough to like give you your lifestyle, right? So maybe,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's retiring your wife, or maybe,
Yep.
maybe if making the same income you were as if you both were working, and still
Hmm.
make that same income, but not have to report to a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it's nice as you have that vision like early on, but like for me, I was a little bit unrealistic. Like, oh, like I wanted 20K a month by 35 and give the middle finger to my job. But now I've got a more realistic approach. But it's smart that you're flipping to build that capital, so you can use that capital to buy your own properties. It's also smart that where flippers get trapped is, I know flippers who do like 150 deals a year, but they don't keep any of them.
Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
keep some of them, because that's how you build that wealth, through appreciation. If it's a good area, keep it. If it's a bad area, just flip it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
Well,
definitely smart.
because I didn't. It's easy to fall into that trap because when you flip, man, that instant
Instant money.
100,000,
Yeah.
dude. I mean, if you did 5 of those, that's 500K right there, and then they start to change their lifestyle to
Inflated up.
yeah, inflate it up because now, oh yeah, this year I'm making 500K. Next year I'm gonna make another 500K minimum. So I'm gonna buy a nice house. I'm gonna buy a nice car. I'm gonna do all these things, and they get trapped in that too, right? Because the whole point was to get out of your 9 to 5 so you don't get trapped in something again. And I never want to be trapped in that. I want to do something that where I don't have to worry about if I have a couple tenants that leave my property, I don't have to worry because I'm only 50% loan to value, or it's all paid off. I don't have to worry if I
Yeah.
can't find a good tenant to stay there. I don't have to rush any tenants into it because I can float it. And yeah, so it's a couple years and 3 years in learning and kind of just going slow, and I'm glad I didn't have a chunk of money too, because if I had I mean, I came up poor and whatnot, and of course I had some money, but I didn't have a chunk where I can just throw money at stuff and hopefully things work. I had to be more intentional with what I have and make do with the best of what I have and be very like mitigate all my risk. And yeah, so far I have to say I haven't lost any money in any deals yet. Um, I've actually made a lot more money in the last 3 years of real estate than probably, or maybe even close to what I made in the last 10 years in IT. And so, well, I wouldn't say 10 years. I would say maybe in the last 5 to 7 years of IT. I mean, that's like 100 something K, but after taxes and all that, you're barely only getting like 70, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so I see the light, I see the way now, and it's just okay, just slowly go through that. I'm still super scared of getting myself into deals that are bad. And if the risk is not a 70-30, if the reward is not a 70-30, I I usually just turn it down because it's like why put myself in a position to where uh, I could end up losing a lot of money, um, and even 10, 20, $30,000 a lot of money to someone like myself. And so so I try to be super careful. It's slow, but at least I'm being extra cautious, but not being complacent.
Yeah, it's a fine balance. I mean, I'll say if you get a lump sum of money, just as fast as you got it, you'll spend it just as fast, right? That's what happened to me when I did my cash out refinance. Like, just as fast as I got that money, I spent it just as fast, and I did lose like probably collectively between all my investments like 120K.
That's not
But
too bad.
yeah, it's not too bad. And my mobile home park was probably my first loss that I've taken in real estate. But the other
Yeah.
stuff I did was just kind of like stupid stuff like Amazon drop shipping and some other bullshit like that. And that was my shiny object itch. I scratched it. I said, you know what? I'm not gonna do anything stupid like that anymore. Just do what I know what I can do. And then but like I said, when the market was hot and everyone was making money and buying crypto and all that stuff, it was a little bit of a euphoria. But I guess kind of my next question is like, I guess how can I help you? Like, what's kind of your goal?
I think for me, it's I think just learning how how you're going to tackle this market, how you plan to do that. And I think it's just learning from each other going forward, keeping the relationship, keeping the network, and hopefully as we do different things, we can share the knowledge and help each other just continue to grow. And if time permits or if opportunities allow, we could get on deals together, right? Oklahoma City is only 3 hours from where I'm at. And so if you like Oklahoma City or even Tulsa, which is just an hour from Oklahoma City, and Tulsa is just an hour and a half from where I'm at. And so, and even here, right? Even in Northwest Arkansas area, if you haven't maybe searched that up, that might be a very area of interest for you. Here in Northwest Arkansas, and this 4 city location here, like the 4 major city here is like Bentonville, Rogers, Springdale, and Fayetteville, where it's got a lot of trying to find the right word for it, found like fundamentals. So it's got a lot of fundamentals here, and because it's got a big Fortune 100 company here.
Walmart.
Yeah, I got Walmart, I got JB Hunt, you got Tyson, and then a lot of other companies are coming in here. And it's got, I said, good fundamentals, population growth, job growth. I mean, Bentonville, I think average income here is like 80 something thousand.
Wow.
But across the US, the average is only like 50 or 50 something or 40 something. I can't remember, but because this is where Walmart is. And the good thing is that with these big companies here, they require vendors to have offices here. So then you got, I mean, they work with so many vendors that you've got offices of all sorts of vendors here. So the area is just really booming and growing, and Walmart is just pouring a ton of money here. And so, so I think it's just really just keeping in touch, and maybe we do deals down the road together when the opportunity exists or not. And learning.
Because right now, I just basically burned through all my capital. And I cannot pull out any capital unless interest rates drop down, because I don't want to refinance out of like my 4% interest rate, right? That's fixed for 10 years. Because I have a lot of equity trapped in my 26 unit, but I could potentially get a HELOC on that. But they look at your DTI in that case, so it might be a little more challenging. But something I considered. But obviously, even with a HELOC on it in second lien position, you're probably at 9 to 10% interest. And then my 20 unit, obviously that one's a high interest rate already, and I refinance that. And then my mobile home park, I'm seller carrying second and note. So I can't imagine myself active right now, but I am trying to like find more sources of income, because I imagine with my current assets, it's gonna be at least a 2-year, I think, kind of lag period, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because until interest rates drop down, I can't really make a move.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what it looks like. 'Cause obviously using what I know already, it would be like wholesaling or like flipping.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously there's some risk there as well. And then on the side, I do like some like coaching and courses and now some social media, but that takes like a long tail to build. It's not like an instant thing. So I just document like what I'm doing now. Right.
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
check out my channel, I just talk about a lot about like what I'm currently doing. Obviously, we own 50 units, is always going on. Or when I was owning 90 units, I was doing so many different things. So I was just kind of sharing
Wow.
my journey to
Sure.
give a more realistic approach to like real estate and not like,
Yeah.
hey, I bought 600 units in like 1 year at 23, right? Like mine is like it's just me. I work full time. I scaled this portfolio. Doesn't sound as like sexy to say on social media, but it's like very realistic what I'm doing,
Yeah.
right? And I didn't come from money either, right? Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
people
Most
always
of us
say,
don't.
yeah, people assume I do. Like, there's no way you could scale this yet. I'm like, no, I just bought deals that I thought were okay at that time and got a little bit lucky that it appreciated like crazy.
Yeah.
But I was disciplined enough to save money to buy these deals, right?
Yeah.
so
Absolutely.
that was really only my winning recipe. And then, but for me, how I find deals, because I'm confident now that with my direct mailing campaigns, like you give me like 6 to 8, 9 months, I could probably find a good deal that's under market value, direct to owner, and I'm buying up instant equity day one, and I have a team ready, right? I have a property manager, I have a contractor, I know how much things cost, and I know what the rents are going to be, right? If it's like Oklahoma City or Enid, where I currently have properties, I know
Yeah.
Tulsa's a little bit nicer of an area. It's kind of like the A-class area of Oklahoma. But
I don't know about that.
I guess
Certain
there's
parts.
some pockets, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I definitely have boots in the ground there. So like for me, like I used to have that FOMO, like, oh, I need to buy this now. But now I just kind of know when I'm ready, I can find a good deal. Like
Yeah.
I know I can find a good deal when I'm ready. And I know like what's a good deal that makes sense for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like for me, I always make an offer, and if they don't like it, okay, I made an offer that works for me. If you don't like it, then that's
Oh, well.
fine. I'll reach out to
Yeah.
you in a month and see if your mind changed. And if
Yeah.
not, or maybe I can flip that contract to someone else who makes sense for them, and I'll make a wholesale fee between
Yeah.
the difference, right? So,
Nice.
so that's why I gain a little more confidence. Where I know I can like find a good deal.
Sure.
Like I was buying my apartment at like 20K per door. And
That's cheap.
if you build it brand new, it's not 20K a door, right?
You couldn't get that.
And I put in 10K a door renovation all in for 30K, and it's worth 50K per door, all in.
Yeah.
But then that's why I underwrote in 2021. But now they're worth like 60, 70K per door now. So it went up
Yeah.
even a little higher than I anticipated. But
Uh-huh.
that's why I'm kicking myself, because like I remember I had a deal when I bought my mobile home park. There was another apartment complex near my 26 unit, and I turned it down because they wanted 33K per door. I was like, oh, it's overpriced. And then had shiny object syndrome with the mobile home park, because I'm like, oh, I want a mobile home park. Sounds more exciting, right? But
Yeah.
I kicked myself because like, had I bought that apartment near mine, man, it probably would have been a cash cow too. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
it'd be a cash cow, and it'd be less stressful. I had to talk to one person, and they renovate both my apartments.
Yeah, because it's right there.
Yeah, then once one apartment is done, it can fund the second apartment renovation, right? If I'm making $7,000 to $8,000, I can renovate one unit per month.
Yeah.
On top of that, so I'm
Right,
kind of kicking
right.
myself a little bit for not doing that. So that's why I'm pretty committed now. Where like it just makes sense for me just to stay in Oklahoma City for apartments, just because I have a system, I have a team there. It would be like starting over if I went to a new market.
Oh yeah,
So,
absolutely. Uh-huh.
like why I kind of go through that stress and
Sure.
of that. So
Yeah.
so yeah.
So what can I do for you, man?
Yeah, I think kind of the same thing. I think I'm interested in learning about like the flipping / construction side, because obviously I have the skill set in renovation because I renovated like 50 units in apartments, and I think that the concepts and the fundamentals for flipping, like it's usually single family homes, it's the same, but I'm pretty cookie cutter in terms of that. Development, it's kind of a new area. But probably an area that I'm trying to dive into a little more is like creative financing a little bit. I kind of like that. I did some creative financing, but like I just kind of want to buy a deal with 0% down just to like blow my mind and destroy this belief I have like that you can do it. I just need to like try it one time to see how it's like, right?
Yeah.
And then and I don't know down the road like what's gonna look like because right now I don't partner, but I don't know like down the road if I get access to like larger deals and maybe I'll consider partnering, but keep it like smaller. I don't want to like syndicate. I'd rather just like one, ideally just one other partner who has capital, and then I can deal with all the management and the renovations and all that because I already know how to do all that. But like I said, I don't know. I need to see. Because as you will learn as you scale, like there's a diminishing point of return after a while where it's like, is it worth it to take on this additional stress? And then, if I have kids and all that later down the road, my priorities might shift a little bit. Can't be as like 100% into real estate. So
sure.
But it's also nice to organically scale as well. So, so yeah, I didn't know like if you know any like debt partners who just want to like basically be a note for that and don't want equity. Some people want equity, some people don't. It just depends on what they do. But I think that would be like my next logical step because I don't think it makes sense for me to go straight from like no partners to like having a bunch of equity partners in the deal. So I'm used to having full control right now. I think the next step would be like a debt partner just to see what it's like. And then maybe it would progress into like an equity partnership down the road. So I don't know how that looks like, but because I know some people, that's the more passive route, right? When you use the bank, you basically become the bank or someone becomes the bank. And I'm becoming the bank on my mobile park deal, right? So I might experience that and be like, oh, this is kind of nice. Like, you don't have to do anything. You just, but you have to build up that capital to
you do
have that luxury. And I guess if you know anybody that wants to learn about multifamily, would love to teach them and show them. Because like for me, I went through a bunch of mentorships where it's pretty costly. And they want equity in your deals. Like they'll take like, equity in your deals and they don't assume any of the risk, right? Like if you lose money, they don't have to do anything, but if you make money, you split it like 50-50. So I thought that was a little bit, I'll describe it. It's a little bit taking advantage, not really taking advantage. Like, I'm grateful for the mentors, like, they helped me get to where I am today, but I just didn't like how like, basically it's kind of like gouging you or kind of preying on you. It felt like you're kind of preying on newer people a bit. So that's why I just do like coaching and like course where I'll teach you and help you walk through it, but I don't want to like take any of your equity now unless we partner up. Actually, it's like a larger deal. But like if it's a deal that someone else is taking, I purely just want to be like, hey, like I'll help you go through that process. And not take into your equity.
Sure.
Because I just felt like it was just too. Like my 26 unit, like that's what happened. Like I basically had to give up like, about half the equity.
Really?
Assuming I sell it or cash out refinance it. So they give you back your initial money that you put into the deal. And but they'll pay you interest rate on that too. So like 6-7%. And then anything after that, you do split 50-50. But what I didn't kind of like was because like when I got the deal under contract, it was my first deal. So of course you're like nervous, but they kind of like force you to like, hey, like sign this contract or else like we kind of kick you out of the program and you've put in like 15K to join this program. Right. So it's just kind of like, And then after I took over though, I quickly realized that, he did refer me his property manager who have been great, like, to be honest. But like, it's just like at this point, they're not even helping me. I've done most of it myself. So I don't feel like you necessarily deserve half the equity. I mean, I understand paying like consulting fee. Like a $50,000 to $100,000. That's reasonable to me, right? Because there's no risk to that person. So it kind of inspired me to kind of do the same thing where like I will charge like a consulting fee where I'll help you go like all the way, like on a deal, for like 50 to like 100,000, and because like to me it seems expensive to some people, but I'm like, no, there's other gurus out there who are like gouging more from it, right? And they have
Holy
zero
cow.
risk. So I'm just like, damn, like you're kind of taking advantage a little bit. But like you said, I can't knock, because like thanks to them, it helped me like break my belief of owning
Yeah.
apartments. I didn't think I could own an apartment, to be honest. But
Yeah. And now you
now
have
that
it.
I do it, it's just like, okay, I know I can do this, and
Yeah.
I know I can teach people how to do it, because I've brought 3 deals full cycle essentially, right?
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah, I'm very
crazy.
very
That's
realistic
good.
approach. So
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Being only 33 too. That's so young. So
yeah, I kind of like felt bad, but then I look back, I'm like, man, like if you asked me even like 6 years ago, like if I'd be where I'm at, I would think you're crazy. But sometimes you don't realize, when you're stuck in that grind, you don't realize how much you've grown.
yeah.
So but yeah, it's been crazy. So that's why I've been documenting my journey, because a lot of those gurus out there, you can just tell, like, especially if you operate like what I do, like they don't really know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
They're very unrealistic. They're just trying to raise money from you. They don't
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
know anything else.
Right.
But for me, I'm actually in the weeds and operate, and I tell people, like, yeah, I wouldn't even invest with someone like me. Like, I want someone with a track record. But now I've built my track record, through 3 deals. But you want to invest someone with a track record, not some like random person who just like you like, and like, here's money. I'm like, no, like things can go wrong too. And if it goes wrong, they lose your money, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Things can always go wrong. Man, well,
yeah.
I knew that there were some fees, but I didn't know that it was that much. And
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't. I mean, I wanted to take some of those courses, but my wife's like, no, don't do it. She's my voice of reason. They're just like, you're smart
Yeah.
enough. You don't need that. You just need
Like,
experience and just
yeah, like
kind of,
I think
yeah,
experience is the best education.
yeah,
But like, I mean, I will say, like, the education is out. I mean, it's the concepts that even I teach in my course and any course, it's out there already. It's nothing like
yeah,
new, but it's just
sure,
organized. And um, sometimes it's nice to at least get you started. But the
yeah,
key is, like, you need to like be around people who are actually doing the deals, like me. Right? I'm
right,
actually actively doing deals, and I can kind of
uh,
walk you through it. So it's
right,
kind of like I give you the basics, and then but the real stuff comes from, like, because
actual experience.
what the course doesn't teach is, like, how do you talk to owners directly to get what you did of creative financing?
Sure,
How do
yeah,
you get good deals? I can't teach that through a course. It
yeah,
needs to be like one-on-one,
uh-huh,
or like in person, that face-to-face interaction.
sure,
So
sure,
that's why I sell the course, on the cheaper end, knowing that they're going to need basically me to help them as a consultant capacity on that deal,
yeah,
if they want to make it successful. And people like penny pinch. And I said, if you're not willing to invest like a couple thousand in your education, you shouldn't be buying apartments at
mm-hmm,
all,
mm-hmm,
right? Like, I've
yeah,
made mistakes that cost me $60,000-$70,000. And if you're not willing to spend $3,000 to educate yourself, like, you have no business being in this industry,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Especially apartments. So
So for the mobile home park, did you kind of go at on your own on that one, or did you have?
no, so I had a consultant who they were my property management as well, and they had 30 years in the business. But at the end of the day, they're a salesperson, right? Because they get a consulting fee when I sign up, and honestly, whatever quotes they gave me, they were all wrong, all inaccurate.
Dang,
And everything took longer than expected. It was more expensive than expected. And, like, honestly, they've been in the industry for 30 years, but from my lens, it didn't seem like they had any experience. I mean, they did, but like the way they operate, which just wasn't very organized, wasn't very transparent. It was just like an older school thing. So, they helped me sell the deal, but yeah, it's, like, I just kind of didn't like that. I kind of expected a little bit more from somebody with 30 years of experience in the industry.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
But at the end of the day, they're a salesperson.
yeah,
And they oversold it to me, who was, I was uninformed optimist, right? Because you don't know what you don't know until you
yeah,
do it.
exactly. Mm-hmm.
But now that, like, I know about mobile parks, every time I hear those syndicators, I'm like, dude, mobile home parks are complete. All of them are complete dumpster fires. But if you're able to deal with it and put out the dumpster fire, you can make a lot of money.
Yeah,
But it comes at a cost, right? It's a
yeah,
lot of people, a lot of team, a lot of capital.
Sure.
So if you're willing to do that, you have to be committed to scaling and owning multiple mobile home parks. But for me, I'm just like, for the same less effort, I can own an apartment complex that fits my lifestyle, right? So, so I just quickly realized that, and in mobile home parks, you're dealing with a lower demographic, right? Like it's not your A, B class tenants you have for your single family homes. Even my apartments are kind of like C class, right? They're kind of like more workforce housing. So you're gonna get a couple of bad apples that you have to evict and all that. So it's just really finding out, you know, what your cup of tea is, and then going from there. So,
sure.
So, but
yeah, well, you know, that's good experience that you gained, and of course it's costly, but that's just the cost of education, right?
Yeah, it's a real life MBA. It's a real life MBA.
Exactly.
So what you've done just by taking action, you'll learn a lot more than you would have done any course, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, you're just like, oh, I don't know anything creative financing is whatever you want it to be. Just get an attorney to like double check you, and then some states like Oklahoma, they have seller financing forms pre-made, standardized.
Yeah.
So you just can start off that as a template, and then just talk and negotiate and get an attorney in. So that's the best education. But you know, I get it. If some people don't take things seriously unless they put money into it. Like when I put $15K into my education, believe me, I studied, right? I did everything that I was supposed to do because I had skin in the game. So that if that's how you're motivated or someone's motivated, then definitely it's worth it. But like you said, worst case, if I tell them, if you spend $3,000, you join the course and you realize you don't like apartments, that's great, because it's better than you buying an apartment and finding out later after losing $100,000 and maybe going bankrupt. I'd rather you just spend $3,000 and be like, oh, I don't want to do this at all. Or I can vet at least a syndicator to invest with, right? Like if just that value there is enough, that's totally worth it in my mind. Like I wish I could have done that for my mobile park instead of learning and losing
the hard way. The
hard way, and you know, getting some gray hairs along the way. So
well, you know, gray hairs is just a sign of wisdom. So
But all right, man. Yeah, would love to keep in touch. It's getting late here. I know for
let's
you.
do that.
So but yeah, reach out if email me if you ever need anything or
for sure. I'll email out. Because I know you've got the experience with multifamilies, and like I said, Oklahoma right in my alley too. So I haven't moved that far yet, but I'm still trying to at least clean up within my own backyard first before I moved a couple of streets over or something. So
check out my YouTube channel. I talk a lot about like my deals and how to like understand it underwrite multifamily. So there's a lot of free content on there where you just can watch it.
Definitely will do.
Learn from there and kind of see what it's like going into the multifamily space.
Okay.
All right, man.
All right, cool, Steven. Well, I appreciate your time. You have a good night, and we'll talk some more.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.